If you guys want the fastest way to improve your aim, get some Control Freaks for cheap. Use code Goblin for 10% off and improve your aim today. Link in the description. Yo, what is up guys? It's the Goblin and welcome back to another Call of Duty World War II video. In today's video, I'm going to be talking to you guys about some rushing tips and how to rush in this game effectively, as well as the best rushing class for World War II. Hope you guys will enjoy today's video. If you guys can drop a like on this thing, I'd really appreciate 2,000 likes, of course. That would be amazing if everyone who's watching this video drops a like, because I think I'm going to upload this one probably really late night, and that's probably the best thing about the weekends on YouTube, is usually on the weekdays you can't upload as late at night because people are, have school or work in the morning, and usually people are sleeping. But on the weekends, the real Call of Duty fans are grinding and, staying up late and all that stuff, of course, if you don't have to wake up early in the morning. So if you guys could drop a like on this thing, it would be awesome. Also subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. Let's talk about this. So rushing is a term that's been around in Call of Duty for a very long time, and there's two different terms. There's rusher and a camper. Camper is obviously someone who sits back, plays more defensively, and a rusher, in the general term, is someone that runs and sprints at the enemy spawn, keeps sprinting a lot, and gets close to the enemies, and that's basically what it retains its form as in this Call of Duty game. Of course, it's different in the advanced movement games because a rusher could be running off of walls, but in this game, you have to run the constant rush routes, and most of these maps are 3-lane maps, so you're either going to rush up the left, up the middle, or up the right side, and of course that depends on the map and what you want to do. But today's video, in the start of the video, I'm going to give you guys the best rushing class in this game, and this is the class setup that will, in a game when you run like LMGs or rifles and when you don't have Airborne on, it's very slow to sprint, and the time in between sprints can be very, very long and annoying and frustrating in this game. It can even lead you to freaking breaking your controller because you're trying to smash that sprint button in so actively. But with this class setup, you really don't have to worry about that, and it gives you a lot of freedom, and it just makes the game flow a lot smoother and allows you to get your true form as a rusher. Now, a first thing I want to talk about is a few different rushing tips in this game, and then we'll get into the class setup in a minute. So as far as rushing in this game, is it good? Yes, it is good. As far as to rush, you probably want to have your favorite SMG. My favorite one is either the Type 100 or the PPSH. Right now, you can see I'm rocking with the Type 100. And to rush, the silencer, it's debatable if you want to use a silencer or not. It all depends. If you're running straight at the enemies, which is not the best tactic, but that's sort of the traditional rusher tactic, you probably don't want the silencer. However, if you're more about flanking, then you can use the silencer. In this gameplay, I decided on a map like Flag Tower, I want that pure power. And the suppressor definitely does nerf the power at range. It makes it take quite a few more bullets to kill. So that's why I decide to, just rush them like that. As far as rushing in this game, it is good, it is effective. You can be beaten by people camping with assault rifles, which is kind of annoying. So you need to make sure as you're rushing, you're moving from cover to cover, you're aiming down sights around corners. And the number one tip I can give for you guys is if you're hurt at all, if you're hit by one bullet, a stray bullet, a grenade, anything, if you are red at all on your screen, do not rush. Take your time, sit back, because even if you're a very good player and you're outplaying people, if you are hurt and damaged, you're going to get killed so quickly, and it's kind of BS, and that's what I would say, definitely some tips for rushers. Now, as far as this class setup is made for sprinting, for running into the enemy spawn, and it works okay on a map like Flak Tower you see me using here. However, I've had, some of the best success. This was a really good scoreline in this gameplay, that's why I chose to use this one. But in other times, like on Ardennes Forest, this class setup works very good, or Ardennes Forest, whatever it's called, because basically you can sprint around so much faster than other players who are using other divisions and other class setups, and you can get a huge advantage, especially off the spawns with rush routes and stuff. That's why I think this class setup is also very good for search and destroy. So let's talk about it. Now, the first thing that's pretty obvious is that we have Airborne on this class setup. Now, Airborne is needed for all rushing classes because it gives you, number one, sprint for longer distances, which is needed, which is awesome. It doesn't make you be able to sprint forever, but you can sprint for a much longer distance than if you didn't have Airborne. The second one is increased sprint speed. So how sprint speed works is it depends on your default sprint speed, is around 100, and then whichever gun you have in your hands makes you run slower. So, pistols, you're going to run fast. SMG, shotguns, you're going to run a bit slower than a pistol, but still really fast. If you have those big rifles, or if you have a LMG, you're going to run the slowest in the game, of course, with the LMGs. So the increased sprint speed on this, stacked with like an SMG, you are running super duper fast, and you're sprinting for longer distances. The third thing that Airborne gives you is the climb over obstacles faster, which is huge on certain maps. A map like this, it works well on. It works great on Point du Hoc, because on Point du Hoc, there's so many different areas where you have to climb up onto that top area to win gunfights, and it works exceptionally well on that one. It's just the overall rush Russian class setup. Now, as far as the other thing that I run with this class setup to complete it is not just that division, I stack it with my basic training, which is energetic. Now, how you get energetic is basically you have to prestige your airborne division once, which I'm sure most people have, you know, prestige their divisions, because you have to prestige every division to unlock the V2 rocket anyway. And once you unlock the energetic, what it gives you is sprint again sooner and no damage from falling. So while unlimited sprint was one of the best things ever invented in Call of Duty, it's physically impossible to get unlimited sprint in this game, but this is the closest damn thing you're going to get to it. As you can see if you're watching my gameplay here, how long you stop sprinting for is about half a second or something. You barely ever stop sprinting, and that's what makes this the ultimate Russian class with that division combined with this basic training. Now, that doesn't complete the class setup. The other part of the class setup, of course, you know, your grenade and your secondary is all personal preference, but the other part of the class setup is the weapon and the attachment. So, as far as that, what I like to run is I say, even though I'm using the Type 100 in this gameplay, you don't have to use that. You can use any SMG, whichever one is your favorite. But however, I recommend the Type 100 or the PPSH because those are some of the best ones. And the attachments I recommend running are, if you're on an SMG that doesn't need grip, like the PPSH or the Type 100, who have pretty low recoil, I recommend running extended mags as your first attachment. The reasoning behind that is because with extended, when you're rushing, you're going to run into multiple enemies, and I was using this class setup without extended mags, and I was getting into a lot of trouble. If you're a good rusher, you're going to be running into multiple enemies. They're going to be spawning on top of you, and you don't want to get into trouble where you're running out of ammo and you're stuck sort of with your pants down. You have nothing to do. So that's where extended mags comes in helpful. Next one is going to be quick draw or rapid fire, depending on your gun. With this one, I believe I was using quick draw, and that's very helpful because quick draw is not as effective out of a sprint. However, it still is effective as aiming down sights around corners. And basically, even though it's such a sprint heavy class, if you stop sprinting for like a millisecond and then aim down sights, it's something that if you practice, it's not really hard to do, but it takes a little bit while to get used to, because in other CODs you could just sprint around, especially with like fast hands and quick draw stacked up in BO3. You could literally just run around and aim down sights. But if you stop sprinting and then aim down, like, it's really quick, and it's a little maneuver you could do to sort of glitch the system into making your quick draw work for maximum effectiveness. This can be a very, very good class setup, and I highly recommend it. The best part about this class is that ability to sprint, and it makes a game that feels fairly smooth. I'd say, like, out of whatever game this one feels like, it honestly feels like BO2 to me. And I don't mean that because of how the game plays. I just mean how, like, running around and shooting people feels sort of like BO2 or BO1 to me, which is definitely a good feel. I don't think the maps are as good as BO2, or definitely not the kill streaks aren't as good as BO2. But I think that that's like how the game feels. And the only thing that makes it feel kind of awkward is, you know, on class setups like the bar or other assault rifles, which are super overpowered, that ability to not sprint so actively drives me crazy. And that's why sometimes it's fun to let loose, put on this Russian class setup, and anyone who likes SMGs, which I know in this game assault rifles are the better, you know, probably statistically, if you could check Sledgehammer Games, they actually keep track of which guns have each KD. So if a gun has like a 1.3 KD ratio overall, of course they're going to have to nerf that. They want all guns to stay around that 1 KD ratio, and that's basically how they decide which guns to nerf and which gun to buff. And I definitely think the assault rifles, if I was able to check their stat board, are the best statistically, but that's also because people are camping more with assault rifles. You usually don't pick an SMG if you're going to camp, and I definitely think having this Russian class setup, you can catch people not expecting you, especially off the start of the rounds. People do not expect you to get to areas super duper fast. They do not expect you to move around so fast. You can surprise people, and it definitely is a lot of fun to use. So I recommend anyone who's interested in Russian, give this class setup a go. Now, my question for you guys is, what do you guys think is the best SMG for this class? Like I said, I recommend Type 100 or PPSH, but you can run literally anyone with this Russian class setup, and I definitely think all of the SMGs are pretty good for rushing in this game, and they definitely design the SMGs where they're not strong at long range. It's not like in certain CODs, if you guys remember back MW2 UMP, that thing could kill people across the map. In this game, while the Type 100 is probably one of the best at longer range for the fact that it has like no recoil, it takes a plethora of bullets to kill people people, and that's why you need to be able to get close to the enemies, be able to drop shot, jump shot, do all those sort of things to win gunfights, and by getting close to them with this rushing class up, it makes it easy to do. So if you guys did enjoy today's video, if you guys could drop a like on this thing, 2,000 likes would be absolutely amazing. Of course, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, and I definitely know a lot of people have been looking for a rushing class up and some rushing tips, so this should help you guys out with all of that. Thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, drop a like, sub for a cookie, and don't looky, and that's about it, guys. I'm out. Peace.